So if you got the old school Kreg Jig without the fancy blue things that have the bit holders and whatever, you're in luck, because I got something that's gonna save your life. You just take this off the wall, clamp it down, you're ready to go. You don't have to worry about doing long pieces or anything like that anymore. A lot of you guys can figure out how to make this just by looking at it. It's a plywood base cut to shape with some handles, and these 2x4s on either side that I planed down to a hair over an inch, which was, you know, the same thickness as the jig. But you know, for the rest of you guys, I'm going to show you the steps I took to get to this point, and it's a quick build and it's pretty easy, so let's have some fun. So I am going to disassemble this, kind of, and show you, give you a better idea of what I'm talking about here. I just got a scrap piece of 3/4 inch material. Doesn't even have to be 3/4 inch, whatever you want to do. I put it right near the middle, flush with the edge here, and squared it up. So I knew that this was going to be square to this edge. Okay, then I traced a line around it, so then I could remove it and I would know exactly where it sat. After doing some math, I made this width here 6.5 inches, and I decided to make mine 21.25 inches long. Probably because that's how long my scrap piece was. Make it however long you want, however long you got. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Smaller is easier to store. There's really only two things that you're probably going to have questions about. The handles and, of course, the support 2x4s that I put here. I'm going to start with the handles because it's real easy. I use a 1 5/8 inch Forstner bit, 3/4 inches from the edge, and I drew a straight line. Drill the hole here, 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 and here. And then I used a jigsaw to just connect the holes, and that way I had nice, nice clean rounded corners. That's the, the pro to using a Forstner bit on a corner. Obviously, a lot of you guys don't have Forstner bits, so you can just use a jigsaw and get in there real tight. Might be a little rough, but that's all right. The second part is the support pieces. I used 2x4s, just one long 2x4, kept running it through the planer, and taking off only like a 32nd of an inch each time whenever I started getting close, because I wanted to make sure it was 100% flush with the actual jig. I found out that it's like an inch and a 64th or an inch and a 32nd, something real tiny. That's what the actual thickness of my jig is. So that's what I made these. You can test that by taking some kind of straight edge and running it over. If it gets caught up, obviously these are too thin or too thick. Too thin, you have to start all over. If they're too thick, you'll have to plane it down some more. Now, what happens if you don't have a planer? A lot of you guys don't have a planer. I'm going to show you what to do then. So what I would do is use a 2x3 because I can easily manage that on my table saw. I would use my table saw as a planer in this case. I would set my fence to 1 1/8, which I believe is just over the thickness of the Kreg Jig, and then I would send it through. After setting your blade height, I would send it through, make it the proper thickness. It'll probably be too thick, but you keep adjusting do micro adjustments on your fence, and then try it again, and eventually you'll get it down to where it's perfect. To check the thickness, put your support piece down or support pieces down and do a dry run. Make sure there's no hang-ups. If it looks good, then you got the right thickness. If it doesn't look good, send it back to the table saw or the planer, whatever you want to do. I countersunk some screws into the plywood from the top. You could do it from the bottom. Doesn't really matter. They don't really do anything. And lastly, check and make sure that your transition is still smooth. Looks good. Okay, but if it doesn't look good, just take the screws out and sand them down, or run it through the table saw or the planer again, whatever you want to do. Once you have your support pieces set, just put some 1.25 Kreg screws in the holes and drive it in there. If you guys like this video, please subscribe. I'll keep trying to get some more content for you. And have a good night. Thank you for watching.